Okay, more than material things, my father was a big believer of education. This love for education, I guess, or the love of learning came from his parents who were both educators. I am very privileged and honored to introduce the next speaker who I really admire and love very much. So I'm very proud to introduce to you my Lola and mother to Pet, Lourdes Siquia Bautista.
What was that? They say that when the heart is full, the lips are speechless. My heart is so full. I stand before you with a heart brimming with joy, love, and gratitude. Gratitude to God the Most High for having given me the privilege to be present at my son's 70th birthday anniversary. I don't think many mothers can say that. On August 6, 1947, 70 years ago, after supper, I felt severe labor pains. And I called up my husband at the Varsitarian office of the UST. He was a senior political science student, editor of the Varsitarian, the university paper. I was 23 years old. He was 25. I was a instructor in the UST. He was a college student. It was a case of him working to send me to college. And after I graduated, I worked so that he may finish college. He was the editor of the Varsitarian. So I called him up and I said, Felix, I have labor pains. Do you think we can go to the clinic? Not even hospital, just a maternity clinic. And he said, darling, he said, I am putting the paper to bed. In fact, I'm now going to the press. Go ahead and I'll follow later. So I picked up the overnight bag, and with my mother, we walked. We were staying in a rented house, corner of Moret and Lepanto, Sampaloc. So we walked up to España and took the Metran bus. There were very few taxis at that time. And from España to Santa Ana Church, and we walked again to the clinic. As soon as I was brought to the delivery room, and with the obstetrician away, and only the substitute physician present, he just had sufficient time to put his gloves and catch the baby. It was the easiest delivery of my 12 deliveries, the easiest. An hour later, Felix comes, and the baby is already fast asleep in the nursery. Bienvenido, well arrived, welcome. We always speak of Pet, and sometimes we forget that his name is Bienvenido, welcome. How did the name come about? The name Pet. When we were already living in Paris, Balate, Stella was our neighbor. The TV program had the jingle, Pepsi Cola hits this spot, Pepsi Cola hits this spot, and Pet was only a year and a half. He started walking at 11 months. And whenever he would hear this song, Pepsi Cola hits this spot, he would start dancing. You saw him dance tonight. And so the aunties, especially Dan, called him Pepsi. So he was Pepsi until with the children who had difficulty saying Pepsi, from Pepsi it became Pet. Now, let me invoke, as a mother, let me invoke the bragging rights of a mother. When I think of Pet, I can give one expression that will, I think, encapsulate his character. He has a welcoming heart. True to his name, Bienvenido, he has a welcoming heart. He welcomes everyone who comes within the parameter of his life. He includes everyone. He does not exclude anyone. And so I will, if you allow me, to give the salient features of his character. Not personality, because you can hire a PR to give you a personality, but character is the person. And I will use the acronym HEART. H-E-A-R-T. H stands for hardworking. He is a very hardworking person. You have heard from the video that even after he has retired, he still works as consultant. I think he got this hardworking quality from the family. The work ethics is very strong in the Bautista family. Perhaps because both Felix and I worked. I was 13 years old, and I was helping my mother in her canteen in the legislative building. Felix was 15 years old. He was the secretary of Governor Lagman of Pampanga, and he was writing speeches at age 15. And later on, when his father, Felix Bautista Sr., was a representative during the Japanese occupation, Felix was his secretary and wrote speeches for his father. I was 13, he was 15, we started working. And my husband worked until he died at age 69. I retired at 60, was recalled, and continued working until 75. All 12 children worked from the time or even before they finished college. Gina was grade 5 when she was working after classes as a cashier in Triple Threat. You remember? So work is no stranger to the Bautistas. And Pet set a very good example. E is for endearing. I think all of us here because we find him endearing. Even the grandchild Lucas said in his prayer, I hope Lolo's fun-loving ways will continue. His sense of humor, you heard that in the video. And to me, he is a gentleman, very courteous, very polite, a true gentleman. He still is very fond of teasing his brothers, sisters, in-laws. And of course, Winda is a clear example of how endearing her husband is, right? A. So HEA. A stands for availability. Availability is a sure sign of love. If somebody loves you, he will always make himself or herself available to you. Even Father Josie said in his homily, I was in Cebu, I had so many engagements, but I had to see to it that I would be here to celebrate the Mass for Kuya Pet. Brothers, sisters, in-laws have flown all over, from Halifax, Nova Scotia, from Cerritos, USA, from Perth, Australia, from Toronto, Canada. All the siblings are here. They made themselves available out of love. So if you doubt whether somebody loves you, ask that person a favor. If he makes himself or herself available, he loves you. And to the young people here, love your children as much as you can. Cherish them, because time goes fast. Before you know it, they're in college, they're abroad, they get married, and long-distance love is no substitute for contact, face-to-face love. Pero mami naman, or sa tita naman, I am afraid that may spoil sila. Remember this. Love never spoils. It is money that spoils. You have no time, money will take care of it. Love as much as you can. Because love keeps you alive. Love gives you a future. Love makes you dream. And as Pope Francis told us when we were at Moa family, no olvidar de rezar. No olvidar de rezar. Do not forget to dream, because dream will keep you going. 70 above, 93 above, dream. And Langston Hughes said, hold fast to dreams, for when dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a broken field covered with snow. So no matter what age you may be, dream. And love. Never cease loving. God loves us, and He loves us so much that we cannot help but propagate that love. A, availability. R is for responsibility and religiosity. I think the video and the statements made by his colleagues, superiors, can testify to the fact that Pet is very, very responsible. Give him a job, you can forget all about it. It will be done. When he was only 18 years old, and we were living I'm still living in Zamboanga. We had a piggery, and he was only 18. He would drive me, and we would go to Cholo's place in Pampanga, right, Cholo, to get piglets because we were raising pigs at the backyard. And one time, there was a strong typhoon. The creek behind overflowed, and the small piglets might drown. What did Pet do? He went to the pigsty, and his brothers followed him. They picked up the piglets, and they brought the piglets to the bathroom. And the next day, they returned the piglets. Every Sunday, when we were still starting our church, he was responsible to pick up the priest and return the priest who would say Mass. Very responsible person. Very religious. You have heard what the priest said. When we were in Pinoval, and he was only 9, 10, 11, he was serving as an altar boy at the Santo Domingo, at the UST chapel every morning before classes. Now, he is a Eucharistic minister. And finally, T, trustworthiness. You have the video saying how his bosses trust him. I tell you, you can trust Pet with your life. He will never deceive you. I remember Cardinal Sin telling my husband Felix across the breakfast table, Felix, he said, do you know why your children are so successful? No, Monsignor. I was the one who answered, no, Monsignor. You know, Felix, your children are so successful because you have never fed them stolen bread. Felix was honesty personified in my eyes. And I think that Pet, like his father, is honesty personified. You can trust him with your life. You know, T also stands for thankfulness. Thankfulness, gratitude. Pet always says, Mama, thank you. Do you need anything? I'll give you whatever you need, I'll give you. I am so thankful to you. you know, gratitude implies humility. A proud person does not say thank you or seldom says thank you because saying thank you is an admission that you are beholden to this person. And a proud person does not want to be beholden to anyone. I think our presence here is a testimony, eloquent testimony of how much we love Pet, because we are here to help him celebrate. So, hardworking, endearing, responsible, available. What makes him endearing also, I think, is his thoughtfulness. He thinks not only about himself, but his family. His family is number one to him. So, these are the qualities that I see in Pet from the lenses of a mother. To conclude, being the firstborn son, being born on the feast of the Transfiguration, I know that his brothers won't mind if I quote a line from Matthew in the gospel read at Mass this morning. Pet, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Happy birthday. I love you, sir.
Babe, I love you. Well, let me just clarify things because you keep mentioning son-in-law number 3, Bindoy keeps mentioning son-in-law number 1, but let's be honest here. When I was 15 years old and still in high school, I was the first one to be introduced to the Bautista family. So I consider myself, technically speaking, son-in-law number 1. Love it that he has more time to spend, well, aside from the parish, but also with his families and with his apos.
So 8 months ago, my husband Vinny and I, we had the joy of our life come into our life. His name is Benedict. He was born 8 months ago, and we gave him the name Benedict Samuel Braga. Benedict because he was our greatest blessing. We waited 8 years for him to arrive. Samuel because we prayed so hard for him, and Samuel means God has heard your prayer. And then, of course, well, our last name is Braga. And looking at his initials, BSB, I didn't realize that I named my son, my firstborn, after my father, who has the same initials, Bienvenido Siquia Bautista. So looking at my son and seeing how close he is to my father, I would be more than privileged and more than proud if Benedict turned out to be half the man that my papa is. So he has a great role model in my father. And I hope that they will carry on their close relationship for the rest of their lives, as do Boo, Josh, Lucas, and Paulina. And with that, I would like to call up the man of the hour, our Papa, BSB, and otherwise known as Pet.
First of all, we'd like to thank everyone for coming here, but I did not know what the program was going to be like. So I knew there was something wrong with the program because should have spoken first. Who can ever top that? I love you, Mommy. Thank you all for coming to my debut. This debut was planned by Wenda and my daughters and their husbands and children for over a year. Sa totoo lang po. Because as you probably know, for those who've been to the 50, 60, and now 70, I like to celebrate every decade. So for many Sundays, they would meet in the house, and when the meeting started, they would kick me out of the dining room. They kept it secret. And when finally Lori was able to finish the video, they were going to watch the video, and they asked me to watch a different video. And the name of the video is Dunkirk in Rockwell. I was, however, allowed to do two things: to do the guest list and to fix the seating arrangement. That's all. Of course, I was also part of the tasting committee. I hope you like the food. And I could choose the songs the company would sing. The task I loved most was to fix the seating arrangement. The kids were wondering why I had both Wenda and myself sit in table number 12, where my mother and all the older seniors sit. Tricia said, "Papa, Mama should sit with her friend." She insisted. And I told her, "Sweetheart, this is one of the few times your mom and I are able to bring down the average age of a table." So she relented. I hope you like the video. My father taught me to be fair and to provide equal opportunities. So I asked Lori, my eldest daughter, who is in charge of everything about the video, to give two Lasallians some airtime. These are Francis Estrada and Bingal Diago. They actually did very well, to my surprise. And by the way, Francis and Bingal are part of the 0.0002% of the Lasallians in the audience. Biro lang, Nonoy, and being Kapati. And I would like to thank all of those who said very nice words. I did not see the video, and I had a frog in my throat when I was watching it. So thank you very much, my family and my friends. I have a confession to make. No, it's not to say I have enjoyed every minute of my 47 years of marriage to Wenda. But I guess after having said that, I'm good for 2 weeks at least. But to confess that writing this speech was harder than doing a father of the bride speech. With 3 daughters, I kept getting better with every wedding. And my secret was the same. I would talk and joke about my sons-in-law. But what do I do now? I have to be good to them since they're the MCs. So when I turned 50, I had a party with 60 people. My speech centered around finally being a golden boy. At 60, I had 250 guests, and my speech focused on my career, to thank those who were instrumental in getting me to where I was then. In fact, I had written, and I quote, "Retirement is a distant prospect, and life still holds plenty of promise and surprises." Yes, life did have a surprise. 2 years later, I suffered a stroke, which forced me into retirement from full-time work. So what do I talk about? I asked myself, this week, Chair Andy Bautista of the COMELEC, he was here earlier. These Bautistas are everywhere. Oh, Andy is here pala, sorry boss. Including Cecil Bautista as singer. These Bautistas are all over the place. He tweeted this week, "Great is being grateful." Chairman Andy tweets probably 20 times a week. And finally, I found one I liked. Just joking, Chair Andy. So there are many things to be grateful for. And let's start with the obvious. These are the 2 cakes in front of you given by Goldilocks. Thank you, Goldilocks. And to my Bel Air friends for the other beautiful cake. So the 10 years went by so fast from Crown Plaza to Manila Polo. And what did I see in the last 10 years? For sure, there were many lows. Cherry, my sister, came after me, passed. the first to die of 12 children. I had my stroke. Wenda had her heart operation. Lori, my daughter, had breast cancer. But there were many highs. Mommy at 93 is still hale and hearty. Trisha, my second daughter, gave us Paulina. Charlie, my youngest daughter, got married and has given us Benedict, our fifth apo. And the passing years gave me more experience and more wisdom, which brought happiness even in the face of adversity. Today, there are 300 guests. I have accumulated more friends. My father once told me, and I think Mommy also said that, a man's wealth is determined by how many friends he has. So right now, I believe I'm a very rich man. Of course, I have to confess I invited over 1,000 people to get 30% confirmations. And half of those who received the invitation said, OMG, I thought you were only 65. And that's where the idea came from, to say no more need for gifts because flattery will always get you everywhere. Seriously, I'd like to thank my family, my beloved wife, Wenda, my daughters, Lori, Trisha, and Charlie, and their spouses, Bindoy, Jude, and Vinny, for making this party possible. Mommy already said that I have all 11 siblings with me here. They came from Canada, Australia, the US. My brother-in-law, June Galvez, who flew in from LA. So my heart is full of pride. I love everyone. Tomorrow, more than 50 of us are going to Baguio for a reunion. Thanks to my uncles and aunts and cousins on the Bautista and Siquia sides. Thank you to my Balaes, Ben and Nora Turquato, Tessie, Baltasar. Thank you to our friends from Jakarta, from Singapore, from Wenda's Tuesday group. Thank you to my classmates from UST High School, from Ateneo College, and Ateneo MBM Class 69. A special call out to my classmate, Jake Campomanes, who flew in from Atlanta, Georgia, specifically just to attend this party. Jake, could you please stand up? Or he has left. Jake, salamat Jake. Jake is also a poker mate and he steals my money every time we play poker. Thank you to my former colleagues in San Miguel, Kraft, Wyatt, Pfizer. Thanks to my new friends after retirement from Goldilocks, Coconut Oil Mills Group, Director is Philippines, DNL, Mega Global, Philippine Pharma Procurement Inc., and the Institute of Corporate Directors. Thank you to my communities of Bel Air and the extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion of St. Andrew the Apostle Parish, led by our parish priest, Monsignor Dennis Odiver, and the parochial vicar, Father Alan Dichoso. And how can I forget my three favorite priests who concelebrated at today's Mass together with Monsi Odiver, Father Josis, Father Mon, and Father Carlo. I have another confession. When I turned 69, I was really most anxious. You see, my mother said my father died at 69. So the man I saw as a continuing inspiration, for the first time I asked him not to inspire me by following his example. I forgot my props on the lila. May props ako, nakalimutan ko dahil napaka-emotional nung speech ni Mami. 1 minute. Meron akong props dito. Kalimutan ko. Nadala ko. Tago ko lang yung props ko. Don't worry, my speech will finish in 2 minutes. And some of my lay ministers have to go because I have to serve at Mass. So, I asked him not to inspire me by following his example. A few months ago, the Golden State Warriors became world champions in basketball. And the first thing they did was to wear their victory shirts and victory caps. So today, I proclaim victory in reaching 70 and allow me to wear my victory cap. Great is being grateful. I would like to be grateful today to my Father, as we are the children of our Father. Props, please. Video. You all know me as a marketing person, and some have wondered where I got the smarts. Today I can tell you they came from my father. Apart from the family, few of you knew him. He was a big man, over 200 pounds. Really never exercised, smoked a lot. He loved mommy and he loved his family. Daddy was a journalist, editor-in-chief of the Philippine Herald at age 38, and a teacher to countless journalists like Julia Abdaza, Rina Jimenez David, etc. To me, however, he was also a marketing man. My brother Felix Orton recounts that after he left his editor's job in the evening news by sticking to his principles over a mere job, he set up an office at home, issued flyers to many friends in government, and the flyer had a picture of a smiling Casper the Friendly Ghost with a caption, "Do you believe in ghosts?" This restarted his career as a ghostwriter. And wasn't that a smart marketing move? And so, yes, I'm a marketing person because of his genes. I also wanted to become a journalist like him, but he said, "No, Iho, I've asked you to provide for your children, to give them more than what I have given you, and in journalism, there is no money." Of course, those were the days when envelopmental journalism hadn't been invented yet. As the oldest boy, I had many quiet moments with him. Once I asked him, "Daddy, what comes after leadership?" At that time, I was general manager of Kraft Foods. His reply, "You move from leadership to eldership." I was 44. I didn't know what he meant. But today, I think I understand now what he meant. At 70, I have a pretty clear idea of how my actions have generated enormous revenue and profits for the companies I have led. I know I've had a substantial impact. However, now I realize how unimportant that impact is to me. Leadership of companies was going after short-term results, quick wins, and my career provided the most concrete evidence that I was moving forward. In contrast, investing time and energy in your relationship with your spouse and children typically doesn't offer that same immediate sense of achievement. Children misbehave every day, and it's really not until today, as I see all the planning that went into this party, that I can put my hands on my hip and say, Wenda and I have raised very good daughters. Growing old does have an upside, to be sure. One is busy, but it is a slow busy. Daily experience adds to one's body of knowledge and hopefully of wisdom. Aging has heightened my appreciation of life's simple pleasures, and has given me a sharper sense of perspective on what really matters in this world. And what's that? Mommy talked about it. What really matters is my relationship with my family, my friends, and my community. As Mark Twain, more than a century ago, wrote, "There is a time so brief as life for bickerings, apologies, heartburnings, callings to account. But there is only time for loving, and but an instant, so to speak, for that. The good life is built with good relationships." So what Daddy meant is that eldership requires an intimate and loving relationship with my family, my friends, and my community. Eldership means understanding that the metric by which God will assess my life isn't the pesos, but the individual people whose lives I've touched. I think that's the way it will work for us all. not to worry about the individual heights our lives can reach, but to worry about the individuals we have helped become better people. In 2009, the year I had my stroke, for the first time, I faced the possibility that my life would end sooner than I had planned. Thankfully, 8 years later, it now looks, and with my victory cap on, I know I have many more years to live. And as I go on with the rest of my life to reach my goal of 80, so I can again invite you all to celebrate, I wonder what the next 10 years will bring. If you were to ask me, who do I want to turn 80 with, I would say with all of you. It's a different world today, and these next 10 years will be hard to face. But I am not phased, I am not worried. I will be guided by what St. Ignatius wrote and advised, which is to find God in all things. He wrote, I will consider how God dwells in creatures, in myself, how God labors and works for me in all the creatures of the earth, how all good things and gifts descend from above. You, my family and friends, have all descended from above, and I thank you with all my heart for being a part of my life. Thank you so much.